Welcome to Design Technologies Module number 5. So like the digital technologies, we're going to do a little bit of a dive into the curriculum. And key to that is to understand the content or knowledge and understanding areas and the process and production skills and what part do they play in the relative teaching of design technologies. Well, here's the wheel. This is from 8.4. Curriculum, and it's very similar in the new curriculum anyway. So the areas to highlight here is that it's all about creating solutions. So it's got that whole sort of problem-based learning, project-based learning, let's create right from the get-go. And central is the next layer, is the process and production skills. And outside of that is the context. So the knowledge and understanding area of design technologies is really about the process and production skills. And the contexts are here: engineering, food and fibre, food specialisations, which sometimes I join together, and materials and technology. So they're the areas in which you will explore how to design and create solutions. And the emphasis is not in necessarily food production. Whereas in other subjects you might find that emphasis is in the content area as opposed to the process and production skills. The other complementary to that is to understand how technologies, their role in society. So when you go into this area, I've asked a couple of reflection questions as we go through. So the first thing we're going to do is unpack by doing like a web quest and examining the strands, having a look what each strand looks like, what's underneath it, and across design technology. And you'll get to see that it actually is lots of commonality, as we've already discussed, with digital technologies. We'll then flow on and have a look after we've done our web quest, where we're examining different parts and really invest in those reflection questions. And don't just skip over that. Have a look at the work samples, because that's what it looks like in a school. So these are illustrative examples that you've had. So have a look at those and go through those questions. Next we go into the center of design technology, and that's the design process. We'll have a look at the video and have this really interesting and real-time context of how the telephone and Eiffel Tower went through that process of design and how that worked. And then we'll go on to have a look at perhaps two areas, or two common ones, of what is a design process. And the engineering design process, and you can see that it fits with the engineering context really, really well. It might not fit with all contexts, but there's probably a basic 5-step. And just having a look at it, you ask a question: what's the problem? How can I imagine? I brainstorm. How do I then plan and create? And how do I refine and improve? So there's a cycle that does go back and forth, but there's a little bit of to and fro here. You can have a more advanced engineering design process and have a look at here, very similar. Create, try it out, make it better. Slightly different language, but essentially the same ideas. And here we have videos and elaborations on both. The human-centered design process is slightly different. It's really good to have a look at the video and just to see how is it different. And I suppose, as the word suggests, it talks about more, rather than solving the problem here, which is a technical solution, it asks a different question. Empathize and understand. What do I need to do? And it's got that starting point rather than solving a technical problem. The starting point is perhaps what is the human need that's going to be served by this. And it has similar though ideas like brainstorming or imagine, prototype, which is that testing, creating phase through here that it has. So have a look at those through that. And you'll be doing a finishing off and investing time, whether you're online or on campus, in a workshop. So if you're on campus, we're going to do an engineering feat. We're going to actually make a tower, see if we can get to the biggest, and we're going to have to hold the weight of a water bottle. And here's the process, and we're going to use the basic engineering design process for that. At home, what I'm going to get you to do is something similarly. You're not going to do the tower. You could if you wanted to. Actually, if you want to have a go at that, have a go at it. But I've actually got a little shorter one perhaps. You'll need someone to act as your accountability pseudo teacher for you in a couple of steps. But you're going to design a paper plane. And you're going to see if you can fly 25 metres, and you've got 3 attempts at the end. So along the way, you'll do the ask, imagine, you'll plan, you'll create, you'll improve, you'll create, and then you'll do a final test to see if you meet your goal. So that's the activity. You can do either of those, but in class you'll be doing the tower construction. And here's some important questions that you would want to ask in your class if you're doing an activity like this, and what I'm asking you as well. So have a look at those questions. Finishing off with assessment. So we're going to have a look at the assessment task and how this relates to that. So there's some tips. You'll find it in the graphic in the module will look a bit better than that, but review your unit outlines and assessment module. Have a look at the exemplars to say, okay, this is what it actually looks like. Decide on a framework that you're going to use. Is it the engineering one? Is it the human-centered one, for example? And choose a topic. Make it stretch you a little bit. Go out there a little bit. Just zone of proximal development, I suppose. Not too far, but it's far enough to stretch you. And then have a look at your design steps and document that if you're a 624 or in CR192. They actually intentionally insert these design principles and processes into your lesson. Next week, we're going to spend some time in class for you to be able to develop and in group and discuss your design and project. And so enjoy module number 5, which is central looking at design technology and the design process.